So, good morning or good night, depending where you are in the world, and welcome to a brand new interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today I have Vince, and he's the drummer for the band Evoken. They're a funeral doom metal band, and they're about to release their new album, Mendacium, and it's gonna be coming out, I believe it's October 17th, right? If I'm not
Yep.
mistaken.
Yeah, October 17th. Yep.
Okay, so we're here with the drummer, and we're going to talk about this record. So first of all, how are you tonight?
Good. It's a little warmer than it usually is around here. We got it to. I don't like the warm weather, so being 85 degrees, I was like dying.
Oh,
And I was just like, oh man, when's the autumn coming? Other
yeah,
than that, I can't complain.
I live in constant hot, so so
Oh,
I need to be accustomed to the
yeah,
heat.
I
So
can imagine.
yeah, so you guys, so let's talk a little bit about Evoken for people that don't know the band. Tell us, a brief history and explain, like how you guys got together.
Yeah. Well, it starts out. I When you're a kid, you're just starting to play your instrument, which was for me was around 13. So you have friends that also play, and then those friends have friends that play. So a friend of mine introduced me to Nick, who started the band with two other guys, Rob and Phil. And they were like, hey, well, this is in 1992. And he said, hey, I'm starting this band. Would you be interested in helping us out? We need a drummer. And I was like, yeah, I was already into like the really slow music just from bands I played beforehand. So we got together, and it was like the first time I was actually in a real band, because usually it's me and a bass player or me and a guitarist. Um, so we put our first release out. We self-released our first record in 93. First full-length album was in 98. Um, and people come and go, life goes on, you get new members in, and here we are over 30 years later.
Yeah, and something very interesting. And 30 years later, and for this album, you put out your first music video. Uh,
Yeah,
for the for
a little long.
yeah. So how was it that like first of all, why did it take so long for you guys to do a music video?
It's a good question. Like in the beginning, I wasn't really too thrilled about music videos. I didn't see their point. I'm going back a few years. Um, but then in the past, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, it started to increase. Like, we need to, it's part of how you release an album now. Like everybody's so visually stimulated. Um, so for this record, before we recorded, we were like, okay, we really need to do a music video. But we had no idea how to go about doing that. So we asked everybody we could think of, like Bumblefoot, Ronthal. We asked him, and a friend of ours, Rob, who does our sound guy. He's an incredible drummer. His wife, Ava, actually makes music videos. She has people and places that have really high-end equipment. And she was like, I'd love to do it. And we're like, okay. And the budget would have been astronomical had if it wasn't for Ava. It would have been way out of our finances to be able to pull something off like that. But yeah, I guess we were had to let that stubbornness go and say, okay, we'll do a music video. It only took 30 plus years, but
You did it. It was like in a church or something where you.
yeah, we went to it was a church here in New Jersey, and they were okay with us filming in there. I think you had to make a small donation, something to that along those lines. So they shot the band in the church there. Um, I never thought I'd be sitting in a church drinking a beer. That was pretty cool. Be sitting in the pews with the beer in my hand, watching them film. Um, And then a few weeks later, they had Joe and Chloe, who are the monk and the temptress in the video. They filmed at a Sipper location a few weeks down the line. It was like 100 degrees out. But yeah, it was really cool. It was the first time we ever did anything like that, so it was really interesting to see how they do it.
Yeah, and it's a long song. It's like a 9 minute
Yeah.
song. So
And that's one of the shorter ones. They were like, you got to pick a short song. It's like we average 11 minutes. What short song?
it's the shortest of the long songs. So
Yeah.
so tell us, you being the drummer, like you growing up, like any drummers that got you into the instrument?
Oh yeah, yeah. My first, my first real like I saw. First, I heard the recording, and then I saw the music video. It was for Def Leppard. Uh, Rick Allen at the time, and that Ludwig that he played, and the way it sounded, and it's just like being in that like pocket. That was like, I want to do that when I heard, then you have, your typical, you have Neil Peart, John Bonham, uh, gosh, who else? Who else? Who else? I'm blanking right now. There's so many. Bill Ward. There's different jazz drummers that I like. Um, even like kind of like even surprisingly, gospel drummers are very good too. The way they linear play. Um, but that came down later down the line. But it was basically like the people like Bonham, McGowan, Neil Peart, the major big Bill Ward, the heavy hitters that were known everywhere in every magazine at that time.
Yeah. And I think you're sitting on your drum kit right now, right?
I was sitting on my drum throne. Yep,
Yeah, because I
the
see
kit's over here.
the sticks over there. So yeah. So this album, it's a long album, Funeral Doom.
Mhm.
I know that on the promo, there's some, you have some quotes having to do with religion and things. So is that like, can you talk a little bit about, I don't know if you, obviously the singer wrote most of the songs, but what are some of the common themes that are covered on Mendacium?
Right. Yeah, I quoted Seneca,
Yeah.
where it was religion for the common people is real, by the wise is fake, and by rulers as useful. So I was like, it just fit.
It's very
Um,
relevant right now. Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
Um, but with the as far as the story of the album is concerned, I had that idea of this tormented Benedictine monk as a protagonist for a few years now. But the last couple albums, I didn't really feel like it fit the music.
Mhm.
So once I have all the music completed, everything's recorded on rehearsal, I'll listen through it to see if I can get an atmosphere from it. So maybe somebody scraping a string real light on inadvertently, or what have you. So I think of like grainy or grit or like crumbling masonry. Um, so I had the story in mind. I had the atmosphere and the setting that it was in, and I had the lyrics that I was writing. And I had to find a way to kind of merge the two together, because if I was I was started to like, I'll write lyrics and I'll back off in like a day or two just to come back with it with fresh eyes. And I kept throwing everything out because I was trying to show so much of a backstory in the lyrics. So
Mhm.
I needed to I said, all right, I'm just going to write the scene that I see in my head between the protagonist and antagonist somewhat. Um, and I needed a way to preface the lyrics and give the lyrics context. So when you get the inlay, you'll see something in there is a letter that sets up everything for those lyrics. It gives context to the lyrics. It gives you the information, because when I was looking at the lyrics, I was like, they needed the context, because it was like, okay, who's tormenting this monk? Why are they tormenting? You know, how do they know so much about his youth? How do they know this? How do they know that? And I figured, okay, I'm gonna have to preface the lyrics in order for everything to come together. So it was a lot of start and throw out and start and throw out until I came up with something little by little.
So yeah, so there's a linear story and a concept. So
Yeah.
so how long did it take you to fully flesh it out?
Took a couple months from what I remember, because once we finished the rehearsals that we recorded, and Sundays I try to block everything out and just listen to the music and whatever comes to mind, flashes of images. Sometimes I'll go for a walk. Sometimes I'll have earbuds in with the music playing, or just no music and just play the music in my head and go through things. So I might pick up on something on the way. So like I might walk by a place that has mold smell to it. That would give me an idea. Something on the strings, the guitar string, like I said, an inverted movement. I would think like masonry walls crumbling. So I had all that, and it's like it was in chunks. It was a slow build over 2 months, because I had to keep going back and saying, okay, how do I explain this? How do I explain that? So I mean, I finished the lyrics barely before we started recording. So probably about 2 months.
So yeah, and obviously you want like every song to stand on its own, but also to go like with the story that you're telling in this album.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Hence the titles of the Canonical Hours. You know, that ties into it as well.
Yeah. So I want to show the artwork for the album.
Sure.
We can talk a little bit about the artwork, which I think goes well with the music that's on hand. So here's the artwork for Mendacium. So what we're looking at it looks like an old scripture, and is that the woman being tormented?
Yeah. That was done by Worthless, the artist. I had provided him with the lyrics, the music, and the backstory, and just gave him a couple ideas and backed off and let him, paint. So what you see is the old classic logo, the tormented Benedictine monk. It's hidden off to the right. There's a demon on the side there. We wanted it to look like paintings of the period of the late 1300s, early 14th century, essentially. They always had an awkward look to it. So that setup, what he did to start out to even do that is the room where you see the door to light coming in and there's a window. What he did is that's his basement. So what he did is he took a skeleton he had, put it in a position like the monk, somewhat like that. He had a book about that size he put down on the ground, and he took a picture of it. And so he used that picture, went up and painted everything, except, where the doorway is, the window is, that's actually another room in his basement. But because he painted it, he changed it to be the outdoors and gave that lighting to it. And when people see the layout of the album and they see the letter inside, they'll look at that painting and it'll make them far more sense than it does right now. Because I know a lot of people are like, well, there's gore, there's blood, you can't do that, you're in a doom band. It's like, you can do anything you want. And he was actually the one that painted the book too. So it's his Mendacium, and then he translated some of the lyrics into Latin in the book.
Yeah, a lot of attention to detail. And so when did you do the actual letter? After the music was done and you said, I need something to put here, like it's like a preface to so people can understand the story.
Yeah. I was like, okay, what can I, and like I said, it would come as I went. So I moved along. So when I was like, okay, I gotta put the stories to the backstory and everything else together with the lyrics to give the lyrics context, but not overburden people. I wanted to find a simple way of telling the story, the backstory in its entirety. And then that way you could look at the lyrics and the way they're laid out in the inlay would make sense. So I set up the situation where it's a letter sent to Pope Clement VI about the passing of the monk, their brother monk. So the letter that came after the lyrics, when I realized, okay, well, in the middle of the lyrics, because that's when I realized, okay, I need to have some context to what I'm reading the lyrics there. But I also wanted to try something where maybe other bands have done it. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's been done, where the lyrics are actually mentioned in the letter as heretical letters written by the monk, including the instrumentals. So the instrumentals, they're musically noted on the inlay. So it was almost like something took over his mind. He was a conduit to put all these things he wrote down, and also the instrumental music, which is noted out in the layout.
Yeah. So for you, when someone gets this physical copy, is listening to the vinyl, is listening to do the lyrics, do you want them to, like the story, is it a story that they can like read and really like follow it, or is it open for interpretation?
It's a little bit of both. Just for me personally, I like when I come across something, whether it's reading about it online or a documentary, and you're like, wow, something, whatever it is that happened, because I love history, and go, wow, I wonder how much they embellished the story, or I wonder how much is this is real. Well, let me go look it up. So I put things in there from different time periods. So if people wanted to, they can go online and they can research, and they'll find all the different things that are mentioned in the lyrics, in the letter, the time period, the area that one of the stories came from. So it's a little something extra for people to say, oh, I wonder how much of this is real, how much of it is not. But at the same time, also, because I have such this trust in religion and I just don't agree with it, on the surface level, it's kind of me lashing out at religion, lashing out at especially today's day where everything is a lie and you have to follow one extreme or the other, which is ignorant. So there's a little bit of both.
Yeah, no. So people can, if they want to know more, there's the information so they can dig deeper. So you're true history buff. Like, do you have like a favorite like time period in history that you like to read about?
Yeah, originally, like my biggest thing was different events in human history where we came to the very edge of completely destroying ourselves, but somehow managed to pull us back. But I usually around the 13th, 14th century, I find that a remarkable period of time. It has a lot of things going on at that time period that are very much can be looked at in a modern context now. Also, the very early 1900s, late 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, I'm sorry, late 19th century, early 20th century, around the time of World War I, when people started taking video, and I'm fascinated with all that, all that. I love stuff like that. And I try to find little stories that are inside. So for something like World War I, instead of looking at the grand picture of how everything in World War I is, I like to zero in on very specific stories that you're not hearing, and to give you an idea just how bad something is. So I love doing all that. Those are my two time periods I usually go with.
No, it's interesting, and yeah, it's good to revisit history. So you can not to make like this like the same mistakes or new mistakes over and over again. So
Yeah.
So you worked this album. You worked with Ron Bumblefoot producing
Yep.
this. So how was that experience?
Amazing. Sorry, I need to sip. Ron is he's an amazing talent. Like he's a guitar virtuoso, one of the best guitarists in the world, hands down, right now, up there with Steve Vai and Yngwie and all those guys. But most important, he's an incredible human being. You know, he has a big heart. We worked with him 20 years ago on 3 of our albums, before he went and joined Guns N' Roses. But then he came back, and when we found out he came back, we were just like, you know, let's see if he's interested in doing it. And of course he was, and it's very relaxing with him. Sometimes, you know, recording, you feel a little like apprehensive about things. You're like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but he'll push you to do it, you know, and he'll tell you, he's not afraid to say, you know, maybe you should work on that later, move on from that, let's go to something else. But he'll always tell us, listen, I'm here to basically captain the ship, guide the ship to where you want to go. It's, you know, whatever you want done, I'll do, but I'll make little suggestions along the line. And he's a workhorse. I mean, hours and hours and hours in the chair doing the music, and then recording everything, and then going and mixing it on his own. We didn't even have to be there to mix it, which was amazing. But I love Ron to death. He's an amazing person, and I don't have the words for it, actually.
Yeah, and it's good that you've known him for so many years, so he already knows what it's like to work with you guys and maybe get the sound best for Evoken.
Yeah, it just took us right back to 20 years ago. It was amazing. It didn't feel like 20 years, it felt like 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So in this album for you, like, do you have a song that, well, this is a two-parted question. Like maybe what was the hardest song to write lyrically or musically? And which one is the one that you enjoy playing the most?
Well, the first one is always the hardest. The first couple, which would be Lauds and Matins. Because you're not sure like which direction you want to go, because we never think about, okay, we're going to do this time, or we're going to go in this direction. You kind of just go in there with a clean slate, and you're just like trying to find your footing, like where is things going. So those are probably were the two most difficult to write, because they were the very first 2 songs, and you know, you're always kind of like not sure where you're going to go with things at that point. And then after, you know, you're into your 3rd and 4th, you pretty get a good idea of where you're going with it. We only played Lauds live, so right now that would be the only thing I can reference, is to say, you know, I off the new album that I enjoy playing. But we have shows coming up, so there's going to be new material in there. So hard to say right now, just because we only played Lauds live, and we only did it, I think, twice. So right now, you know, that's the favorite one to play live, but I'm sure that's going to change. Like, I want to play the song Sext, or Compline would be cool to play live. So hopefully we can squeeze them in there.
Yeah, so you mentioned the shows. When are you guys gonna be on the road?
We have, right now, Europe is being worked on for this spring, summer. We have some shows in the US that they're gonna, I would imagine they'll come up with something soon as an announcement. We'll be in Mexico in March. And there's other things that are being worked on, nothing solid yet as far as dates, but you know, we're going to be trying to play as often as we can.
Okay, so they need to follow you on the social, so you know.
Yeah, because the dates aren't solid yet, but they're all being worked on. They're going to happen. It's just a matter of time when we get them from the booking agent.
Okay. So the album is out on Profound Lore Records, October the 17th. I'll post the link for people who want to pre-order the album. So Vince, before I let you go tonight, anything that you like to say to the fans before we go?
Uh, well, I mean, just thank everyone for the support over the years. A lot of people have stayed with us. We've become friends with many of them. They're always really supportive. Um, and we'll see them out on tour. Keep an eye on the socials. We'll have some new video coming out. Not a music video, but a pretty cool video. We'll see you. We'll see you out there and come up and say hello.
Awesome. So yeah, so Couchers, Evoken-Mendacium, October 17th, Profound Lore Records. So Vince, I want to thank you for taking some time of your night to chat with me about
Thank you.
and giving me more context about the story of this album. So Couchers, I'll post the link for people who want to pre-order and follow the socials for Evoken so you know when they're going to be playing shows. So
Yep.
yeah, until next time, Couchers, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.